Hello and welcome to another episode of Casting Views, the podcast that takes a topic each week and, as the name suggests, cast views. This week I'm revisiting a subject and I thought, well, what better way to do it than with a different voice to that which discussed it with me the first time round. And I've only got him solo on this podcast once before, and now's a perfect opportunity to get him back. I have managed to steal away Alex from the Game Club pod. So hi Alex, how you doing?
Hello. They let me out every once in a while. They don't normally trust me on my own, but I've not told them about this, so it's our secret until it comes out.
So how's it going on the Game Club pod?
It's good. We're actually in a bit of a down period at the minute because Tim's gone away on holiday. He's actually still there now, so we've kind of backloaded and got as much done as possible before he went away. So I think the next episode that we still need to record isn't due until the very end of March, so 3 or 4 weeks away yet. So we're in a good place for now, but all it'll take is 1 week. That's all it'll take.
So I tend to try to get a few in advance, and it's exactly that. It's 1 week out and it feels like everything's unraveling.
It's best laid plans and all that. It just goes to pot, doesn't it?
Yeah. So how long have you been official member of that now?
Since June or July time, I think, is when they officially asked me. And then my first episode with them officially was for the Gollum episode, whenever that was, which I think might have come out mid-August, that. So it's been a while. It's felt like a while.
Well, for people listening, if you weren't following them, and I'm sure everyone is, Podmas, you did an episode every day bar Christmas Day, so it probably has felt like you've been doing it for 6 months longer.
It was absolutely a trial by fire, that.
But yeah, so go check out the Game Club pod where you can get podcasts. I make no secret that it's one of my favourite podcasts. So hire Joey and Tim while we're here. And also members of the PodPack Collective. So hire PodPack too. We are going to hear a trailer. And Alex, we're going to hear from yourselves. So let's do it.
Welcome to my friendly Game Club where everyone is welcome. The podcast where we share, we play, we run and sing. Well, we don't run, but we do sing.
Hey kids, are you looking for a new favourite fortnightly video game review podcast?
Then boy howdy have we got the show for you.
We take a different game every 2 weeks and we review them just like a book club.
You can find us on all good podcasting platforms.
And some of the sketchy ones too.
Simply search for the Game Club podcast and join the club today.
Right, we are back and we are going to talk about cons and scams. And I've recorded another episode last week about conspiracies and I'm going to do a few episodes on that. And I said in that episode that conspiracies you can always keep doing because it doesn't feel like there's a day or a week that goes by without a new one appearing. And I think it's the same with cons and scams. Sorry. So the question I've got for you, and before we start, I'm going to do something I used to do. The definition: a scam or a confidence trick is an attempt to defraud a person or group after first gaining their trust. And what I liked is, had a look here. Other terms for scam include confidence trick, con game, confidence scheme, rip-off, finesse, grift, hustle, bunko, swindle, flim-flam, gaffle, and bamboozle. So...
At the end, they just stopped using real words. Yeah. Where's bunko's got to be Australian? That sounds like an Aussie slang for it.
Well, it's here twice, and the reason I wasn't going mad, I said it twice because one it's spelt with a K and the other it's spelt with a C.
So the Australian and then the New Zealand versions, because they've got to be different.
Yeah. So the first question I wanted to put to you was: have you ever fallen for one? Have you nearly fallen for one, or do you know anyone who has? Because the thing is, we get peppered with these every day, right? So I'm sure if you haven't, you must spot them all the time.
Yeah, no, it's every day you get an email or a text or something like that saying, your Royal Mail delivery's been held for customs and clearance. You need to pay this amount. I was trying to think on this. There's only one time that I've been caught out by a con, and it was so quick and dumb. When I used to work in the city, I'd gone out on my lunch break, gone to the cash machine, taken 20 quid out. I needed to put gas in the meter or whatever it was. Took this 20 quid out. It came out as two tens. Happy days. Some guy, some really well to do looking fella in a suit came by and he went, "Oh, would you mind swapping those tens for this 20?" I was like, because he was obviously very well dressed in a suit, looked like a businessman, the kind of guy you'd see wandering around the cities. I thought nothing of it and was like, "Yeah, fine, whatever. It doesn't make any difference to me. I'm spending it in 3 hours." And then I was working retail at the time, and I'd gone back into the shop, and I had this £20 note in my hand, and I was like, "This feels a little bit off," because at the time I was a supervisor, so I was used to handling a lot of cash and sort of catching fakes and stuff like that. And I was like, "This feels off." So I got one of the little yellow pens and I marked it, and sure enough, it was fake. And I was like, "Oh no!" I mean, it is such a minor thing to fall for because, like, as I'm sure we'll hear soon enough, there's people who've lost thousands, they've lost livelihoods, savings, all of that kind of stuff. 20 quid's not too bad at the end of the day. What about you?
I haven't fallen for one totally yet, but I've almost done it. And it's that realization and you're kicking yourself. And I think that's what I was going to say to you, that I'm sure we'll come on to it in some of our conversation, but they just survive by either getting you at a weak time, whether that's just you're in a hurry or you're just not concentrating, or they prey on a desire or need, right?
Yeah.
So in your case, you were out. Did you say you were on lunch break?
Yeah, I had to get back to work, so
Yeah. Someone comes along. You've got 220s. Why wouldn't you swap it? The two times I've almost fallen for it. One, I was on holiday and I got a text saying that DHL delivery needed to be rescheduled. I think it was DHL anyway. And I almost started putting the details in because I knew I was expecting a delivery. And then I thought, do you know what? No, sod it. I'm not going to do it because I wasn't sure. And then I thought, well, I'm on holiday as well anyway. What can I do? So worst case, they'll just take it back. And yeah, it turns out it wasn't really that delivery because it was coming from a different company anyway. And the only other time I was moving house and I was with Virgin Media, and I'd called them up and I said, "Look, we're moving house on this particular day. I want the services until then." And they said, "Yeah, it's fine, that's fine." I get a call about 2 weeks before we move from, quotes, Virgin Media, saying there was an issue with our service. And I thought, because it was working from home, this was during COVID, I was working from home, obviously got the thing about moving, and I just had in my mind that there's something wrong. They're screwing up the contract. So I went to start calling the number back and I thought, no, do you know what? Hang on. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go through the main line and speak to them. And yeah, lo and behold, they said, no, they hadn't tried to contact us. It wasn't anything. But at that moment, because I was distracted, I could so easily have fallen for it.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like you say, one of the things they target is people in vulnerable positions, the elderly who might not know better, people who are in a rush, people in sort of dire financial situations. So it's really, really easy to fall for them, even if you are, like sort of like me and yourself. We grew up with technology. We're surrounded by technology in our work life, our hobbies, everything. So you'd think we'd know better, but some of these professionals are just, well, they're exactly that. They're professionals at what they're doing and they know how to get into you.
But that's it. They just keep on trying, don't they? Because they know for every 100, even if they just get 2 or 3, they're going to make money out of
They've
that.
made their money, yeah.
Yeah.
That Virgin Media one of yours makes me think they had an inside person working for Virgin Media, because that's a bit too uncanny.
Well, there was something I was going to say. I think it is just timing, because my neighbours at the time, they were with another provider, BT. So we could say it's because it's nothing to do with them. And I think, again, they were having issues with their broadband at the time, and they were an older couple. So they weren't overly technical. And I get a knock on the door one night. It was Friday night. It was about 9 o'clock, and she's knocking on the door. She looks quite panicked, and she goes, because she knew I worked in, sort of quote IT. She goes, "Can I come have a look at their computer?" And I said, "Yeah, fine. What's happened?" And she goes, "Well, we've got a legitimate call going with BT because we've got issues with the broadband, and they got a phone call saying, 'Oh, I'm here because I'm calling because I've heard you've got issues with your computer.'" And they started going along with it. And this guy asked them to access, to give access to the PC to start downloading. And it was at that moment, the husband, thought, no, he didn't feel comfortable, so quickly shut the computer down and asked me to go around. And, I knew enough where to check to see if anything had downloaded, etc. And I think he shut it off at the right time. But he said, they said there was an issue with our computer, and we have got an issue, and we thought it was genuine. I said, look, no one will ever call you up out the blue to say we want to gain access to your computer. But again, it's just catching them at the wrong time, and they just think it's genuine. And what I mean by this is because, when I said if they call 100 people, they're going to get someone, because I was once at my mum's house and had a phone call which she put on to me, and it was, "I'm calling because I understand you've got an issue with your Windows." My mum didn't have a computer. And I said, "Well, unless you're selling double glazing," I said, "we don't have a computer, so go away." And I hung up. But I've got one more example of someone I know, a friend of mine. Again, like you said, we think because we've grown up with technology that we'd be fully aware of it. But maybe we are the worst generation for it, because we are surrounded by tech and we've become so au fait with it that he got a text saying, he was due a tax refund. Could he put his details in to do it? And he said, again, he just finished a long shift at work, was tired, started to put his details in, and then realized they wouldn't call me up. They wouldn't text me and say, "We want your credit card details to give you a refund." But again, he was almost close to
that
submitting
close,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think, like you said, the problem is because we're surrounded by technology to the degree we are. You or I could quite easily, if there's a phone number calling or a text number, it's really easy for us to go on Google and search it. It's really easy for us to do things to prevent ourselves being scammed. But at the same time, the technology that the scammers are using is getting better and better. It's only been in the last sort of 5 or 6 years that they've been able to spoof legitimate telephone numbers. Before that, it was always, dodgy mobile numbers on a 1p phone contract kind of thing. And it's just, it's that constant back and forth of the prevention technology, and the information is getting better, but at the same time, the technology to attack is getting better and far too good now.
That frightens me, the fact that they can spoof, so you can get texts from what you believe is your bank. It comes from the same number in the same trail, doesn't it? And yeah, I just think maybe we're too confident with technology that we don't think about it, that we think we're invincible. I mean, even for the podcast, the amount of emails I get now saying, "Oh, related to the podcast, oh, your services, or we want to, your payment for this platform hasn't gone through." It's just incredible that they must get something from it. I mean, it used to be the old prince who was trying to escape a country years ago and wanted your help to escape with $50 million, and he was going to give you half of it. Now it's a lot better. There's less spelling mistakes. Things look genuine. And I can only think with AI that potentially it's going to get even worse.
Well, yeah, because they're going to start being able to spoof voices, aren't they?
Yeah, to sound genuine, right? It's because there's already, I don't know, I don't know what you've bought, but you've got the "Hello Mum" text, it's called,
Yeah.
or message that they can spoof voices. I had a top 5, the top 10 big scams of last year. But what I wanted to do is let's go through. I think we both bought a couple of examples. I'll let you go first, because like I wanted to say, we're not trying to what's the word, glamorize this or have fun, but I think it's just interesting to see what's out there. And if you think you can't get caught by a scam, there is something out there. Like we said, it just needs to get you at the wrong time
Yeah.
for you to fall victim. So yeah, let's start with you.
So you've led me on to one quite well there with, being so sure that you can't be attacked. A Carlisle ex-police officer loses $3,000 in a Royal Mail scam. So what's happened here is he's had a text message from Royal Mail, which is another common one, is your couriers. So he's had a text from the Royal Mail saying there was a parcel waiting on him. Your parcel's waiting for delivery. Confirm the settlement of £1.99 on the following link, and it gives you this link. Takes you to a website that looks identical to the Royal Mail website, because that's the other thing they're doing really well now, is mimicking websites to the point that even if you look at the the web address on your browser, it looks very convincing. So he's gone onto this Royal Mail website, he's put in his personal details and payment details to quote-unquote release this package. The scammers have then phoned him on his mobile number, claiming to be from his bank, alerting him to the fact that he's just put his details in a fake website. These same scammers, they're running sort of two scams side by side. They're doing the fake courier and the fake bank. So these scammers, like I said, they've called him saying, we're from such and such a bank. There's been suspicious activity on your account. We need you to transfer money into this account that we've set up for you. So he's done that. He's sent his $3,000, what I assume savings or whatever it was, over. But while he was on the phone to this bank, he checked the number that they were ringing from, and it was coming up as a legitimate number. It was coming up as, Halifax, HSB, whoever it might be. So yeah, he lost $3,000 on that. He did. I was reading the article. He did eventually get it back from the bank. Don't know how, but he managed to get it back. But the worst part about this is, like I say, he's an ex-police officer and he specialised in fraud prevention.
It's incredible.
I was reading the article and he was constantly giving talks and presentations on what to look out for, what to avoid, what not to do. And yet he got caught.
It's incredible, isn't it? And there's a few things in the one you said, is because one, especially, pre-COVID it was anyway, but since COVID, the amount of deliveries that each house now gets is probably gone through the roof, right? So you get a text or a message from one of these, or purporting to be from one of these companies, and you're going to get somebody who's expecting a delivery that day from that, right?
That's it. You send an email out, or a mass text out to 10,000 people. There's a good chance that at least 1% of them are getting a Royal Mail delivery at some point.
Yeah, at least. And you said that they make websites look realistic. Yes, they do. But also, isn't there something that the URL can look correct, but they can use a different alphabet? So it's not a normal A, say. It's an A from a...
Yeah, it's like using bits of Cyrillic or things like that. Other alphabets that look very close to ours, and you'd have to really be staring at that web address to see it.
Yeah, and how many times, unless we're being ultra cautious, how many times do you absolutely stare intently at every letter in a URL? And the other thing that hits me about the one you said is, especially now with internet banking or app banking, how easy it is just to transfer something. And do you know, the thing is, and it's only in recent years I've become a bit more comfortable, but the whole, where you used to, like, you go to work, someone says, oh, we're going out tonight, do you want to chip in for it? Yep. Okay, here's my tenner. Now it's, can you transfer it to me? Or what, somebody owes you money, they say, what's your bank details?
Yeah.
The whole comfort around the fact we can just, money is pinging around the internet, just like that. So easy, and people are comfortable to do it. Again, you sometimes, do people act before they think? And again, I don't mean that in a nasty way, but we are so quick to just get on the phone, log in and send money around.
It's become so normal now that you wouldn't think about it. But like you say, 10 years ago, if someone said, give me your bank details so I can send you some money, you'd be there going, just there's a cash machine over there. Just give me 20 quid out of that. Cheers.
Have you had the phone call from a bank saying, we've got suspicious activity on your card, we want to take you through things?
I don't recall ever having had one. I think I've possibly had a text, but it was back when, I say back when, it was one of those, it had come from a mobile number and it was full of spelling errors, and it's like, yeah, okay, delete that, ta-ra.
I think banks must hate me when they call me because, and I don't care. I will continue doing it. Whenever I've had so many calls saying, "Oh, we're from your bank, we're this that," and I just never believe them. And I say, "No, I'm hanging up, and I will call you back at a time of my choosing," because there's a whole thing sometimes that the line can be kept open. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
when they call you up and say we want you to confirm your password, I'm like, no, you tell me my password. You're calling me up. Why am I going to take it for granted that you're who you say you are?
I mean, I suppose that's sort of the benefit, I guess, to a degree, with security code or security passphrases, where they're like, oh, can you confirm characters 1 and 5? Because it's a bit harder to steal an entire one of them, isn't it? But it's still, like you say, it's still too easy for people give up the information far too easily and far too quickly.
I found an interesting one here, and I only say interesting because it involves something that I'd not really seen before, either in when I've looked at it previously, but it taps into again, and you'll know, especially in this country, about the desire for something. So this involves a scam dentist that appeared in County Durham. Time I found this, I think this was last year. So it's going scammers going under the name of the dental surgery in Shildon, County Durham, taking advantage of those living in what they call the dental deserts of the northeast. This is this article's words. Using Facebook community groups in County Durham, the dental surgery promised that prepayment would secure customers an appointment and automatically register them as an NHS patient. But because we're featuring it here, the surgery does not exist, and the dentists listed on the website work at unrelated practices elsewhere. Trading Standards have warned people now to stay alert for the scam and contact their bank if they have fallen for it. Oh, it says here, so there was a lady here from Bishop Auckland said it was a sophisticated scam. She booked her and her partner in for checkups with a dentist at £26 each after seeing an advert on Facebook. The post was just getting shared and shared again, and what instilled a bit of panic in me. And it got shared and shared again, and that instilled panic in me. I didn't want to miss out again. I've been checking the NHS website daily since our dentist shut down, and I've been getting nowhere. And here we go, is what we said. I'm quite clued up. I know to be careful of scams, but this was altogether more sophisticated because there's a massive shortage of dentists. They were using a genuine address of an old one that shut down, so it came up as a real address on Google Maps, and it had a local number and photos of a recent renovation. After she paid, she got a confirmation email telling me that she'd booked in, but it turns out they stole the identity of a real dentist elsewhere. Let's have a look. She had to cancel her cards, etc., etc. But yeah, and she's not the first one, and there are other places that this has happened to. So what I was saying earlier about this country is, so if you're listening, if you're out of the UK, so we've got the NHS, so free healthcare. The dental service, it isn't free, is it? But it's greatly reduced price. Otherwise, you have to go private.
It's a lot cheaper than you would be private. Yeah, it's I think a checkup sets you back about £35. Removals and fill-ins and the likes, I think it's about 75-80 quid, somewhere around there. But if you got that done on private, you'd be paying 3, 4, 5 times as much, depending where you go. And there is a massive shortage in this country of NHS dentists, to the point that it's practically a postcode lottery at this point, because we've moved into a new area recently. I'm still registered at our old dental surgery where we used to live, which is about an hour and a half from here on public transport, and I've not looked around here, but I'm almost terrified to look, because it's like I've not seen any dentists while I've been wandering around.
And that's the thing, it is so difficult to get on the NHS, the dentist now. I mean, I'm thankful I've got one in that I've been a member of for a number of years now. But now it is a case of, well, if you miss an appointment, they'll take you off the list because the waiting list is so big. And again, it's not like you can't look after your teeth, right? You have to. So it's that cost element. And this is what we go back to what we were saying at the start. These people are just preying on the fact that there's a desperation or a desire to get this type of dentist. And also, the thing I think is clever about this one is it's not a lot of money. I mean, yeah, £26 isn't to be sniffed at. They're not asking for hundreds or thousands of pounds. It's it's an acceptable thing that you say, yeah, I'll prepay that, I'll get that done to get myself on that list, I'll pay it.
And they're making it out to be a really good offer, and sort of because that making it out to be a really good offer instills that sort of they're going to realize that this is a popular service, and then they're going to put the price up, so I better do it while it's still cheap. So it creates a sense of urgency and a sense of panic on top of the sense of desperation of, oh wow, there's actually an affordable NHS dentist around here now. And it's really clever. It's and like I say, we're not glamorizing it at all, but it is a clever scam because they've gone to the trouble of finding a dentist's name, finding a shut down dentist to make it look legitimate. They've done the legwork on that one.
This is why when I saw it, I had to say it because, yeah, they're not just sending out a text. They're not just calling up saying you've got something wrong with your computer. I haven't got one. Okay, next person, you've got something wrong with your computer. You haven't got one. No, they've gone to the extent to make it as believable as they can. And again, that's frightening. And Facebook, right? That's another thing. I'm not massive on Facebook in terms of a user, sorry, but the amount of ads, and even recently I've started seeing more and more, oh, I've got tickets for this or tickets for that. Or clearly it's not from the supermarket, but they're saying, oh, fill in your details and you can get £50 voucher at the supermarket or from an airline. And it's like, I see people sharing it and I'm like, you must know that it can't be real. But I guess if you see it floating around, and that's the thing, someone you know shares it, it makes you think, well, oh, Alex has shared it. So
becomes a bit more credible.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's part of the problem as well, is how easy it is to share information now. And like, I think we've said this on, it was either in chats or it was on an episode of something I was on recently. It might have been in the PodPack chat actually. The ability to critically think now with especially modern generations, without trying to sound old, critical thinking is no longer a skill that is common. So people, 10, 15 years ago, if you were on Facebook and an advert popped up saying, get £50 off your Asda shop, and you'd look at it and go, yeah, right, okay, whatever. But now people just go, oh, bargain, share. And similar to what I imagine was discussed on your conspiracy theories episode, there's a whole space for them to put that information out there that didn't exist 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
The advent of the internet has given space to all of this kind of stuff. The internet's a great thing, but it hasn't half unlocked some dark sides.
Yeah, most people now are probably setting their grandparents, great grandparents, uncles, aunts up on Facebook because they want to keep in touch or they want to talk, And it's that moment where, and look, and I'm not saying the older generations fall for scams, absolutely not. But what I mean is people that maybe traditionally aren't tech users are having to become so because it's becoming the only way you can ultimately keep in touch with people around the world or relative at the other end of the country, right? And that's where where you start experimenting, like, oh look, I'm in our local town group now. And they're giving this away. I'll sign up for it. It's that kind of thing, I think, where we're going to see more of, or have seen more of.
Yeah, you can't send a scam letter anymore.
No. Have you got another one?
I do. Similar vein to my first one, and similar vein to yours. Fake police is a big thing that's going around. Apparently, it's fairly recent. I mean, one of the article I've taken this from, which I think was I want to say it was in Northampton, but I could be wrong. Oh, sorry, Nottingham. Is people pretending to be the police in order to gain, access or information, things like that. So the particular one that I found is you will get a call from a police officer or possibly a bank official, obviously not a real one, claiming that for whatever reason you are required to hand over money or a debit card, credit card for legitimate reasons, and you need to hand it over to someone who'll come and pick it up. So some of these legitimate reasons that have been going around is the quote-unquote bank system has spotted fraudulent payment on your card, or it is due to expire and needs to be replaced. There's an investigation that requires you to withdraw money and hand it over to a police officer or a courier. It'll then be returned to you when the investigation is complete. You need to purchase expensive items that you'll be asked to hand over. This is an interesting one. Some money has been removed from your bank account that corrupt staff at your local bank branch are responsible. You are advised that someone at the branch has already been arrested, but the police need you to withdraw money for evidence. And then the other big one is that a business such as a jeweler's or a currency exchange is operating fraudulently, and they need you to basically pause as a customer and buy something to help them gain evidence. So these are the sort of the quote unquote legitimate reasons. Now, some of them just sound daft, but those last two, someone at your bank's dodgy or the jeweler around the corner's dodgy, they're a bit more believable. These scammers are able to confirm basic information, stuff that's really easy to obtain. So things like your full name and your address. This is why they say when you chuck letters and packaging out, get rid of your address on it, because someone could get that. So yeah, you get told one of these things, and you get told that a courier is going to pick up the money, the bank card, the jewellery that you've bought, whatever it might be. This courier will be posing as a police officer, and then they've got that money, or they've got your bank card, or whatever it is. It's quite an insidious one, this, because when they're carrying out this scam, they tell you not to talk to anyone else about it on the basis of, if you tell people, you are going to bust the investigation and we'll be back to square one kind of thing. And so it's all very sort of hush hush, you're our secret spy kind of thing. They might even ask you, in the bank ones, they might ask you to lie to the bank to bypass security. Yeah, I'd never heard of a courier fraud until this. And I've never heard of anyone faking police officer.
Do you know what? As you started saying it, I can't find it, but I remember hearing about one locally quite a few years ago, because on our local radio there's a like a consumer program, and someone had fallen foul to this, and she'd lost thousands. I mean, pretty much everything. And it's interesting what you said. There was something I wanted to pick up on where you say that they tell you not to talk about it, not to say anything, and it kind of gives it that almost secretive air, that genuineness, that these are the police, that they're telling me to be quiet because they must be investigating this. And again, I'm going to use the word clever, and I don't mean that in a positive way, to buy them time to get what they want and get out of there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's one of them, You could have this phone call, and then you'd immediately, you'd get on your phone and you'd call your wife, like, oh, I've just been on the phone with the police. They need me to, go to this jeweler's and buy, a £2,000 diamond ring. And then your wife would be on the phone going, Dan, that's stupid. Why would they ask you that? What are you going on about? And then that's the scam ruined for them. But by saying that bit of, this is an ongoing investigation, we need you to be quiet about it. It's the police, you're going to do it, aren't you? You're not going to go, oh, well, the police have told me to be quiet, but I'll just go and tell everyone anyway.
Yeah, the police impersonation bit also worries me, because, they're the people you're supposed to trust, right? Do you know what I think the worst thing about this one is? Obviously losing the money, but the worst thing must be that you've handed it over to them. You've handed your card over to them. They've come to your house and you've gifted it to them, haven't you?
Yeah, this isn't someone's managed to hack into my bank account, someone's got into my email address. This is, you've given them, you've gone, here you go, here's $2,000 or whatever.
Yeah, it's not someone on the other side of the world or in another country.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'd be hunting that person day and night after that.
I'm going to move on to something I'll probably just quickly summarize, but ultimately it's romance scams. I'm sure we've we've all heard of an example. And the reason why this came into mind again was recently. And when I say recently, I think it was a few months ago. There was a story about, actually, it was this January this year. There was a woman in France who believed she was in an online relationship with Brad Pitt. And if you look the story up, basically this person was creating false images. And this is it. So, the reaction is going to be from people, oh, how can you be with Brad Pitt? And I get it. But this woman was trying to do the right thing he was messaging her, said he was in a hospital, he'd had an accident, he needed some help. And they were creating AI generated images of Brad Pitt in hospital, which I think she was then trying to reverse check online and couldn't find them because obviously they weren't real. So she thought they were genuine. So in her head, she was convincing herself that she was speaking to him because you can't find them on the net, or at the time you couldn't because they didn't exist. And I think she ended up losing over $850,000 to the scammer. Over time, he was just getting more and more her trust. Now, it's not the first time faking a celebrity. There was a woman in San Diego lost her life savings to Keanu Reeves imposter. 2 Spanish women lost $325,000 believing they were dating Brad Pitt. Now, it's not just, obviously, celebrities. I mean, the romance scam hits everyone, everywhere. And I found from the City of London police, this was last year, it's the middle of last year, there were just some numbers. So the instances or the reports of romance scams increased 8% on the previous year. So the National Fraud Intelligence Bureau, run by the City of London Police, received 8,792 reports of romance fraud, amounting to losses of over £94.7 million.
Oh,
Right. And so just bear in mind, it's just London, right? The average loss per person was 10,774.
oh. It's not a small amount of money.
No. And it says here, contrary to common misconceptions, there's an equal split between male and female victims. So it's 42% men, 58% female, and all age groups are affected, with men aged between 50 to 79 and women aged 30 to 79 reporting the most. Now, I'm wondering how much goes unreported because of the embarrassment, because I think that's what they probably try also to prey on here, is maybe trying to shame the victim into saying that they fell for something like this. I wonder if there's an element of that. For a third of targeted people, the fraudsters spend more than a year using various tricks to build up trust and companionship. So again, this isn't just
It's a long con.
Yeah, hi, I like you, give me money. And if you think about it, and I saw, there's a Netflix documentary about it. I can't remember the name. Oh, wasn't it the Tinder Swindler? I think it's called. But if you think about it, probably because they're taking a year, they've got a lot of these in play. So one's cashing in as they're starting. Do you know what I mean? There's a conveyor belt, for want of a better term. The long-term form of coercion is used to engineer scenarios that pressure victims into handing over money. So this could include paying for travel, paying for a phone, taking out loans of investment. And of the reports made, 45% of approaches were via online dating sites, 41% were made by social media, and 12% via communications platforms. So, yeah, I'm just still astonished by that. 8,792 reports totaling to losses of over £94.7 million. It's astonishing.
I'm still looking at these bloody Brad Pitt pictures because it's like, to you or I, because like we've both used AI image generation before, and we've seen the stuff that it produces. These are clearly not real, but again, to someone who's not in the sphere of technology to do with generative AI, you could easily believe that they're real. Especially like there's one there, and I love you on a little postcard.
Yes, yeah. And again, that, what I think is, and I don't like using the word clever for this. What is the interesting thing about this one is that I hadn't even thought about, because using AI means that these are original quote original pictures. I hadn't even thought of that. So she tried to do the right thing. And again, it goes back to what we were saying. A lot of these romance ones prey, especially from the dating sites, they're preying on a vulnerability because these people are there looking for a relationship. And it's that manipulation of feelings, which is probably the biggest thing you can do, right?
Oh yeah, like you can, you can try and manipulate someone's intelligence or someone's financial situation as much as you want, but when you start manipulating their emotional state, that's when it starts hitting.
Yeah, yeah. And just bear in mind those stats I gave were from June last year, so who knows what it's at this year.
Well,
Did you have anything else?
yeah. No, I only got them two.
Yeah, I've got a few things I can throw at you then before we wrap up. So,
Is this the top 10?
well, it's not. There was something else I found, and again, because we were planning this a few weeks back, I don't know why I was looking for certain things, but I found this anyway. It's about South Carolina, which is really weird. I don't know why, but apparently, when I took this as maybe a year or so ago, but South Carolina has the seventh highest rate of fraud cases in the US. National data shows older adults are disproportionately affected, and police in Beaufort County received 745 reports of fraud in 2023, only 11% of which resulted in an arrest or resolution. Now, here is, and the reason I'm bringing this up is the list of different scams. I've only got 4 here, but they've got prop money in circulation, so fake money. So again, that feels, actually that was from this year. So this article is new. This is from January. So yeah, passing off fake money as real currency, which I guess is as old as time, really, isn't it?
We we one of the stores I used to work in, we had someone who accidentally took prop money for some products, and it was when you looked at it, it was really obvious because it was like it rather than saying £20 on it, it said 20 pound
Yeah.
and stuff like that. The more you look at it, the more stupid things you found. But like from a sort of arm's length away, it looked legitimate.
Well, this is it. It says here, and this is people are gonna hear this and gonna say, "Oh, come on, how did you accept it?" It says to spot the fake bills, look for phrases like "motion picture use only" or "this note is not legal tender." But I've worked in a shop, a fast food shop. Especially at busy times, you're just taking the money, aren't you? And you're
Yeah.
just ringing it up and then getting to the next customer. And again, I think this one is relying on the person just being busy and hassled probably to fall for it. Got sexting scam. So a man using a dating app got a call from a scammer pretended to be a Beaufort police officer who alleged the user he had chatted with was underage, and the fraudster demanded the man send him $3,200 to pay for the therapy bill. The next two are interesting ones because I've not heard of these before. So public jail records. Residents with family members in jail or who had recently been released themselves reported being contacted by scammers imitating law enforcement. They were asking for money or other goods in exchange for their relatives' release or because of fabricated court conditions. Authorities say fraudsters often utilize public jail logs or mugshot pages to find vulnerable targets. Which, yeah, that's fascinating, isn't it? About, even being
Oh, your husband's in jail, but if you pay this $3,000 bond,
yeah,
we can
yeah,
release it. Which, I think I'm no legal expert, but I think in the US there are certain things if you're held for like misdemeanors and stuff like that, you pay a bond, don't you?
yeah,
And you're
yeah.
released. So it makes sense.
It's incredible. The final one in South Carolina is jury duty, which I'd not heard before. This scam involves victims receiving calls from con artists pretending to be law enforcement, alleging that the person missed jury duty or another legal obligation and needs to pay a fine. Again, it's just that going back to the one you had of impersonating authority, right?
Do we get fined in the UK if we miss jury duty? I don't think we do we?
I don't know. I know it isn't a legal obligation because you can only say no once. Because weirdly, I've got a couple of people I work with who one's just done jury duty and another's got it coming up in a couple of months. And I know someone She said no, but they'll only let you turn it down once. So I think you have to. So I don't know if they will fine you.
But obviously, this one that you're discussing takes place in America, so it's much more likely that you probably do get fined for that.
So here in the UK, you can be fined up to £1,000 if you don't respond or attend jury duty.
Oh,
There you go, £1,000.
wow.
Yep. And right, finish off. Yeah, the top 10 scams based on those that have either fallen victim, known someone who has or have been targeted by a scam. This was as per Barclays Bank this year. Yeah, January this year. So number 10 is romance scam. That's 30%. Number 9 is parking scam, 30%. Number 8, ticket scam, 30%. 7, advanced fee scam, 32%. Number 6, investment scam, 32%. 5 is a Hello Mum WhatsApp scam, 37%. Number 4, online marketplace scam, 38%. Number 3, purchase scam, 40%. Number 2, HMRC, so that's tax scam, 42%. And number 1 is the fake delivery scam, 51%.
Yeah, because it's a really easy one to get hits on, isn't it? We never talked about the Hello Mum scam. We've mentioned it a few times. I don't think it's something that affects either of us because we don't have kids. But my understanding of it is, you as a parent would get a text from an unknown number going, "Hi Mum, it's Dan. I've lost my phone and my wallet. I'm borrowing a friend's phone. Can you send me X amount of money to this account so that I can get home?" And then from there, they've got everything they need. And it's preying on an instinct to protect your children and look after them. And it's believable as well, because at the end of the day, kids are stupid. They lose their phones, they lose their wallets, they lose their bank cards. It's a believable scam, and it preys on a natural instinct.
I think it's that last one. It preys on a natural instinct, maybe for the parent to send money before checking things out. And again, it must rely on spamming loads of people because it needs one that's got the child that's elsewhere.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
if they live next door, it's not going to work. And yeah, there's an article here I've just quickly found from 2023. Yeah, it's as you say, it plays on parents' fears when scammers send a text message from a different number pretended to be one of their children, asking for them to send money. And yeah, some examples here. Mum, bad start to the day. I've dropped my phone. Please message me back here once you've seen this. Hi, Mum. Just letting you know I've dropped my phone like an idiot earlier on and it's cracked on the screen so bad. I'm on an old phone for the meantime. I would have called, but I can't hear anything, but I've got a new one. Can you send me some money? Another one says, Mum, I'm really stressed out all morning. Please send money urgently. And yeah, and it's just on and on and on. And this said TSB, so a bank building site here, said that friends and family fraud accounts for 53% of all impersonation scams, with 93% originating on WhatsApp. And the average loss for the fraud victim is more than £1,600.
Oh,
terrible, really, isn't it?
Because I suppose that's the thing as well. Once they've got the information, they can probably just pull more out if they need to. And God, it's a bad one. That it's because it's so believable, and it's so like, we've all. I'm sure you and I have both done it as kids, or young teens. I've run out of credit on my phone. Can I borrow your phone just to call my mother quickly to ask for such and such a thing? And it's incredibly, it's very credible, it's believable.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this article as well. So again, bear in mind it's from 2023. It says here, scammers are constantly identifying new ways to target people, and with 17.9 million Brits falling victim to cybercrime last year alone. Now, bear in mind the population now is about 69 million. So you're looking at what? I don't know. My maths is
it's
almost
a quarter, give or take.
Yeah, almost a quarter of Brits have been victim to some sort of cybercrime, and
that's got to relate more to an aging workforce.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Or I guess if there's anything I can say before we wrap up here is just, it's just be careful, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
just double check everything. If something doesn't feel right,
it probably isn't. But then there's like there's the old golden rule as well, isn't there? Of if it's too good to be true, it probably isn't. And it's, but again, you can be as careful as you want. Eventually, something will get you. For the most part,
we are subjected to so much fraud, aren't we, around us, or attempts at fraud that, like we said right at the start, they're just relying on that 1 week. That's all it takes, is that 1 week moment, just that 1 week moment,
yeah,
and they've got your money.
It costs them nothing to send out a mass email to 10,000, 20,000 email addresses, because the amount of information that's out there now, it wouldn't be hard to scrape together a list of emails, and all they need is one hit and they've got a positive investment there.
Yeah, and it's a whole other subject, but like you said, everything online now, and we've said that online makes everything easier. But yeah, the amount of people where almost their whole life is online, and all the information is there, isn't it? It's
There is one positive to end on.
Mhm.
The amount of content that is made from scammers in terms of people messing with scammers, it is incredible to watch. There's one guy, it's well worth a watch on YouTube. I think his name's James Veitch. I think it is Veitch, and he starts all his videos going like, most people when they get a scam email, delete it. I reply to it, and he just like, it'll be like the give us $5,000 to unlock these assets in the UK, and it'll return 10 million to you or whatever, things, those kinds of scams. And he's there going, but the advert said I'd get a free toaster, and he just focuses in on getting this free toaster, and it's just watching these scammers get more and more annoyed to the point that they either completely break character or just hang up. It is so gratifying to watch.
Yeah, I've seen a couple on TikTok where, it revolves around, I haven't seen enough of it to know exactly, but it involves the scammers asking you to buy gift cards to then give
That's
them.
quite a common one, yeah.
Yeah, to give them the thing. But this guy obviously knows how to do it to ruin it. And these scammers are literally shouting at him down the phone, because he's ruined their scam, or, because he's playing it along. Or the two people I've seen, they've got like voice modulators to make them sound like old people or different people. So they play 2 or 3
I know
characters.
the fella you're on about, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess keep an eye out for those people. Well, Alex, that is the end of the episode. So thank you very much for joining me. Do you want to please just shout out yourself, your co-hosts, and your pod before you go?
Yeah, so you can find me, Tim, and Joey every week now, releasing content every Monday. I don't know why we decided to do that. We were originally, we're going to release once every 2 weeks a game review, and now instead we've got 1 week it's a game review. The next week we're doing cutscenes, which is our sort of television movie adaptations of video games.
I love the name for that now, by the way. Cutscenes is brilliant.
And then we've also got Thanks I Hate It, where we specifically target each other with something that we think, something that we know our fellow co-hosts hate, but the intention is to find something with a twist to make it something that they'd like instead. We've also got, and this will be the last bit, 2 last bits. We've got DLC, which is an as and when, where we've been quite fortunate recently in we're able to get pre-release copies of video games to review. So that's as and when. And the last show that we have is Biased Anime Podcast, which is Jacka and Skylar discussing anime once a month. Incredible show. Check that out. If you don't want to watch the rest of our stuff, that's fine. Just listen to BAP.
And again, I'll say it again. I said at the start, I'm a huge fan of your channel, everything. And yeah, I'm not an anime fan, but that podcast with Jack and Skylar is brilliant. It's so listenable. They are two, the really listenable people. So, and yeah, the amount of content you guys are putting out is just incredible. So the one also thing I will do is I just want to say again hi to the lovely Joey, because at time of recording, I have asked him. He does a number of the thumbnails now for my show. So between him and Justin of the Movie Wire, I was so grateful for the two of them. But with Joey, I really don't know what I'm going to get, and I've just said to him, "Me and Alex are doing Cons and Scams. Can you please do a cover?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm on it." And the speed at which he says, "Yeah, I'm on it," that's what worries me.
No, he sent me a text this morning going, "Can you send me a picture of you side on, blah, blah, blah." I was like, and I messaged him back going, "Right, but do you, anything specific? Do you need a particular expression, anything like that?" And then he replied to me going, "Actually, no, don't worry about it." And I'm like, "Oh no, what does that mean?"
So as I said, between him, Justin, and weirdly Seismic Cinema, they've got more photos of me combined than I have now. So again, thank you, Alex, for coming on. Do go check out Game Club Pod if you're not. Go subscribe to them, go listen to it all. And for me, you're listening to me, so you know where to find me. But if you want to get in touch, if you want to suggest a theme, if you want to be on a show, if you want to be part of the Mind Wipe or Dinner Party episodes, 'cause you've done a dinner party, haven't you, Alex?
I've done a dinner party, not a mind wipe, but they're both incredible to listen to.
Thank you. We'll get that rectified about the Mind Wipe. Or you just want to say hello, search for Casting Views across all social media platforms. I will see you next week for another episode of Casting Views.
1, 2, 3, 4. If I want your opinion, I will give it to you. Come on, check what we got, 'cause you need it. Don't make us get a spark and roll